It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. Because I was thinking, how do 5 kidnappers all sleep? You know, I've never worked in that sector, but we've heard stories that, you know, one person might be on guard. For all of them to just fall asleep, you know, it's really nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah, it could also have been that the Bible said that when the cloud is full of rain, it will empty itself upon the earth. That the prayer of the pastor and his congregation
Could be,
and the goodwill of the people have actually formed a cloud of atmosphere around them, and so producing what you refer to as divine or supernatural protection. So let's leave it there.
Okay. Well, one thing we can tell for sure is that testimony time tomorrow will be on fire. Since it happened this week, I'm sure that particular congregation will have a lot. Okay, moving from that, Airpeace trended this week after a video surfaced online where the airline used the Igbo language to make in-flight announcements. And of course, this drew criticism from netizens. People had a lot of things to say. Others said Airpeace is a private airline and can do whatever pleases them. They also reminded angry Nigerians that Qatar Air and Ibom Air often make their in-flight announcements in Arabic and Efik languages, respectively. I got a bit of that sound. Somebody who was aboard that flight, you know, recorded the announcement, and obviously the person is Igbo, so they were quite pleased with this. I think I have a bit of it. Okay, well, it's long, and it goes on to talk about, you know, like your regular in-flight announcement. We're going to Abuja, the weather is this, how many feet above sea level, and all of that. And that was on in Igbo, and people did not find it funny.
Oracle, what is culture?
A people's way of life.
That's a short definition of that. Culture is also a form of indoctrination.
Okay.
So, what is obvious is that the people in authority have a way of showing off, you know, their culture. All right. For instance, now, I think a lot of Nigerians from the South, they now wear this kind of cap that was akin to the people from the North.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah, it's now fashion.
Yeah, it's now fashion. I was in a church the other day and I noticed that over 60% of the people in the church actually wore that. But I'm used to the red cap that has a small, which is also part of my culture. So I say that to say this, that Igbo is an acceptable language in Nigeria. And if the CEO of Airpeace is an Igbo man, how else do you want him to show off his culture? All right. The announcement in Igbo language does not in any way interrupt the services of Airpeace. That's one way. It's also another way of Christianizing Nigerian, you know, about the indigenous language of the Igbo people. For me, I'll say kudos to him. Perhaps what I will add to it is that while you do that in Igbo language, there should be provision for an English translation. I think that's the only way we can balance the equation.
I don't know, you know, because the report did not state if they did, but it's difficult to imagine they did not.
But if they didn't, well, we will say to them that in future, such could also be added to their services. I think it's a better way of doing that. But there is no crime in speaking Igbo language in the airport. I have a cousin who stays in the US. And he told me that while he was moving from Dallas to the other part of America, that he saw somebody who was speaking Pidgin. Without knowing the person, so boy, you be Nigerian. He said, I am. So they move into Pidgin. And people were looking at them, what are they saying? They've not known themselves before. So one way to identify with your culture would be language. And I think there's no crime in that.
Of course. I know that the the anger comes from what I will call the carry-along principle.
Yes, I think so.
Not everybody here is Igbo. Why you people, I paid for this. You have, because I saw some of those reactions online. Nigeria is not an Igbo, this one, all of us, please say, speak something. So all of that, would Air Peace now have to attempt to create an ethnic balance by maybe, we also do Yoruba and Hausa as well?
Well, there's nothing wrong if they have to do that, but it also affects their capital, because for now, the quality of manpower they have may actually be the people from that particular zone.
Okay.
So there is no play. It is not a bad thing if they add, language to their chain of services. But we should also look at the overhead cost. Sam, also, as a historian, I also have to tell you something. Imperialism is a dictum which actually shows cultural defect in a way. Through colonialism of Nigeria, you understand that this thing called lingua franca, English language as a lingua franca, has actually overtaken the mainstream of our lives.
Sure.
And which is difficult because right now, my study recently actually showed that just 25% of the people in the world speak English, which means that there are other languages in the world.
Yeah.
So I think there's a need to de-emphasize that. I studied something on the history of China not too long ago, and I discovered that the original lingua franca is Chinese. All this ching chong that you see all over the place, and then the growth technologically is a function of their language. So let's improve on it. I think it's a good way.
All right. Moving from that, this week, the Central Bank of Nigeria launched a new bank charge called Cybersecurity Levy on all transactions, both physical and electronic. The CBN said 0.5%, which will be charged on all transactions, will be received by the National Security Fund, the NSA. The latest charge adds to the existing stamp duty, account maintenance, and VAT charges. Social media users reacted angrily to this, with some accusing the government of defrauding ordinary citizens. Others are of the opinion that the new charge will further discourage Nigerians from keeping their monies in the banks. Dr. Uwadinor, your take.
Sam, there's a huge difference between economic development and economic growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about
Yes. First and foremost, economic growth has a problem. It is quantitative in nature. All right? Economic development does not actually focus on quantitativeness, but it talks about quality. That's one. Secondly, economic growth is a function of increase in output. All right? While development is more of a fundamental increase. Okay? Now, why am I bringing you to this place? Our government policy is tailored towards economic growth, which does not necessarily translate into economic development. Recently, I think I did a job on a critique on Nigerian economic policies and program from 1960 to 2000. All right, so it was an article that was published. This is what I'm telling you. Our government is more of statistics. They want to show the whole world that there's improvement in the economy, but that does not translate, to the lifestyle of the average Nigerian on day-to-day basis. Just like what we had, I think it was here, we're talking about an increase in a fall in dollar, and then the market has not actually changed.
Yeah.
This is exactly what is happening here. Sam, every country of the world look for a way to reduce the poverty level of the people and improve their nutritional content. That's economic development. But growth will tell you that we want to come up with the statistics that so and so number of people have actually had food, but whether it translates to qualitative food is not there. Now, the CBN, I think whoever may have come up with that policy is not a friend of Nigeria. So by that calculation, 0.5% is removed from 10,000. Now, if I have somebody in the village who is taking care of my small apartment, which I inherited from my father, and I'm sending a sum of 5,000 naira to him to maintain the compound on monthly basis, and the bank takes a quantum of it, which is 5% of that money. 0.5% of that money. How will I be able to meet up my commitment? The person on the receiving end, where is he going to get money to make up for that? And if he so wishes to send it back again to me that the money is not enough, another 0.5% is taken away from that. I don't know whether you get it.
I do, but people would argue that it's a negligible. negligible percentage. It's almost you almost will not notice it. It's half of 1%.
What is negligible? When you say it's negligible, you know somebody's sweat. Sam, are you aware that we pay for virtually everything? We pay for air in Nigeria. Are you not aware?
Air?
Yes. Otherwise, those whose lung are actually attacked and now they are in UPTH, are they not paying for the air by way of oxygen? We pay for land. We pay for water. No, there's nothing free that is coming from government. And still, government had the mind. Let's come down to Nigerian language. I mean, they still had the mind.
The mind.
That the little savings.
We have a break coming up, Doctor. After the break, I will have the mind to hear you some more. Stay with us. for development. This is the front page of 92.3 Nigeria Info. It is where we take the biggest stories making headlines through the week. And my guest is Dr. Isaac Uwadinor. He is an educator and public affairs analyst. You're welcome once again, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So before the break, you were talking about the mind of government, that they have the mind.
Yes. Like I said, government has the mind. In conventional English, the temerity to do that. It shows a sign that the government may not be sensitive to the plight of the common man on the streets. Sam, are you aware that coming to work has become extremely difficult?
Yeah.
Especially in terms of transportation. I don't know how much you people buy for here, but where I work is not less than 800. That's one. And then government is still considering additional way of impoverishing the people by removing the stored one. If somebody's take-home pay is 30,000, and you are removing 0.5% of that, which is more like something else, how would the person calculate his movement? And then he has relations for every transfer, such money. I'm looking at the multiplier effect of such, and that is where I'm saying that it's e-time and it's not necessary. Government can make money from other sources.
Okay, I hate that I have to always clarify, right? But I'm not speaking for government. That's the disclaimer. There are situations, according to the pictures painted, where government will suggest that they are in a tight corner. For example, the removal of some of the subsidies, petrol subsidy, electricity subsidy, it comes on the heels of we cannot sustain it. Of course, if you double click on it, there's a larger conversation. But usually, it is encapsulated with the caption, we cannot sustain it. Because if you check economically, according to the stats which you talked about, if the experts and the economists do this, they say, oh no, in 5 years, this might bankrupt us. This will take us to, so we need to remove it now. Is it harsh on the common man? Yes. But is it possible that not implementing it might put government in a tight corner? Maybe. I don't know. So what do you make for that argument?
Sam, it doesn't follow. In logic, you say argumentum non sequitur. It doesn't follow. It doesn't follow is because government is a continuum. The effect we are feeling today is a function of the past. Don't forget the fact that I'm a historian. And the fact is this, that if this government has actually inherited an economy that is in a dying state, what is the government doing to probe those who were here in the past to recover from them the stolen fund? That's number one. The second thing is this: government does not exist for sustainability. Government exists to create opportunities for people. And in creating opportunity for people, government is not a business entity.
Yeah, but doctor, sustainability has to be a byproduct.
Yeah, I understand. But the truth is this: there's a human face to it. Sam, there are so many things that are collecting money from Nigerians. Just like you mentioned, there are plethora of that. So it's like a case of adding, you have a car that is 1 point something capacity, or 1.5 capacity, not up to 2.0 capacity like what you see in those cars. And then you bring in 3 bags of cement and add to it. In addition to that, you also went back and brought 2 bags of rice and put in the boot. And then you are putting another 1 bag of gari on it. And you are saying that the driver is a good driver. Then the next thing is a roll the car. In rolling the car, the tire will puncture. And that's zero. Not only that the tire will puncture, because the shocks have actually been, weakened by reason of load. The vehicle will crash. And then it will begin to scratch the ground. If care is not taken, there will be an explosion. And that will mean loss. Government should actually do something with some level of human faith. I'm not saying they shouldn't do that, but give us the doses maybe yearly, not once. Government cannot claim that it's not sustainable when they are telling us that the petroleum subsidy has actually frozen the account of so many people, and then there's money in circulation and they are giving out loans. No, it cannot be. I feel that this is part of the Bretton Woods institution in order to impoverish more Nigerians.
All right. Remember, we are live on Facebook and Twitter at Nigeria in PH. That means you can watch as you listen. You can also drop your comments on those platforms. We have talked about, I think we started with a miracle. Hostages escaped as kidnappers decided to take a nap. This is because they took hard drugs. After that, we talked about Airpeace making in-flight announcements in the Igbo language. Social media users had a thing or two to say about that. And the CBN launching the cybersecurity levy, all of that happening in this week. The numbers to call are 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. WhatsApp is 080-903-06416. Like I said earlier, we're live on Facebook and Twitter at Nigeria InfoPH.
Football in the very some other opportunity. I believe this is not the first time. But the second time, looking at the harassment, they are distinguishable. For those of them, their language was, they will feel excited. And for some of them who don't understand the language, they might be somehow. But let's assume the type of thoughts are the man that is not comfortable and his own language is being used, will he be happy? I think it's always like that at some point. So the language you don't understand always sound noisy and they're not always comfortable with it. But for me, it's a welcome development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Temple. Like I said earlier, I doubt it's literally possible to imagine that after all of that, Airpeace did not have an English version, because some of those announcements, also have safety protocols.
Exactly.
Yes. While you're about to take off, they tell you how long it will take, where we are going, and where your, oxygen max. Yeah. So these are instructions that everybody will need.
Exactly.
So I don't want to believe that there was no English version to let everyone aboard.
Yeah. Well, it may be part of the innovative service they are introducing in addition to the English complement.
Possibly. Adi Oji OKOCC on Facebook says Airpeace has every right to speak any language they like because it's not a crime. He's promoting his culture. Oh well, it's also a responsibility. Good morning, Oracle. Airpeace is puffed. Okay, this is going to... I'll get that message shortly. Please just give me a minute. But I think the word I'm seeing there is puffed, if I'm not mistaken. Oh my. Okay, I'll take that message when I can. Now back to the security levy. The reactions already. The Nigeria Labour Congress has demanded the immediate withdrawal of the newly introduced cybersecurity levy by the Central Bank of Nigeria. In a statement by its president, Joe Ajaero, the union lamented the levy is another anti-people policy of the government during excruciating hardship. Now, a financial literacy advocate, Victor, says the timing of the implementation is wrong. Mr. Wuma, that's Victor Wuma, in an interview with our correspondent, said businesses and individuals are going through economic hardship. So the reactions are along the lines of hardship. But here's another perspective. A financial expert, Eseo Gene, who says the levy is part of a cybersecurity act that has been in existence since 2015. And he said, the Rivers State Vice Chairman of Chartered Institute of Bankers said Nigerians do not question laws when they are introduced, but complain when these laws are implemented. I kind of agree with him. I'd like to hear your thoughts, Doctor.
Yeah, well, the act may have been introduced. There's no doubt. Sam, have you also taken into consideration that Nigeria is a multi-plural society? By that I mean, you also look at how many people are actually enlightened. Forget those who wear car to work every day. How many people are enlightened to actually query the laws? Especially when we have our friends who are into practice and they feel that advocacy is to go to court and wear the wig and the gown. Okay. So talking about this cybersecurity levy,
that was a punchline.
Yes, this cybersecurity levy, why didn't they carry out some measure of enlightenment before they started? We woke up to hear this. Must this be part of the policy of the Tinubu's government?
All right, important questions begging more important answers. Now I think I have my message. Good morning, Oracle. Airpeace is puffed up and should not make its customers annoyed. The people supporting the announcement in Igbo language will not support if it were Hausa or Yoruba, as the case may be. Barry Johnson says on WhatsApp. Good morning, Sam. The primary concern for pilots is passenger safety. Safety briefings and critical announcements need to be understood by everyone on board. If a significant portion of the passengers do not understand the language used, it can be a safety risk. Passengers who don't understand language used in announcement might feel excluded or anxious, especially during critical moments. Forcing cultural displays can come across as performative or inconsiderate if it creates a communication barrier. There are ways to acknowledge local culture without jeopardizing safety or clarity. Pilots could offer translated materials or announcements in multiple languages. You see, while I understand, again, as I said, it is impossible. I want to use the word impossible now. I'm not even to imagine that there was no, it can't, because there are standards.
There are standards, yes. There are regulatory bodies too.
Yes, there are standards. But you see, all of these complaints did not happen when culture was translated through food. When Airpeace introduced the Lagos to London direct flight, one of the many highlights was that they were serving local Nigerian dishes.
Yes.
They said there was jollof rice, eforiro. Some people real.
Exactly.
Nobody said, "Oh, this one is Yoruba food, the amala. I don't like it." Right? Because, and I'm sure some people who maybe did not come from a part of the country enjoyed the delicacy that is popular there.
Exactly.
We did not have this much of a backlash when it came to food. Say, no, don't give me Hausa food, don't give me Yoruba food. But now, culture expressed through language is causing.
Well, Sam, you are right. I agree with you to a very large extent. What I can see there is this: Nigerians are just like normal consumers, and consumers have a right to see what they want. But the only thing is that it should be done with moderation.
I agree. I agree completely. Let's see, do we have more calls? 08179230002. King Boy on WhatsApp says, "Good morning, Mr. Sam. CBN launching cybersecurity levy. The government is causing hardship to citizens and does not care about it. It is anti-people's policy. Nigerians have suffered so much since the failed party came to." Twice you have mentioned APC. I particularly just said that, but you're particular about that. All right, thank you very much, King Boy. So let's go to our next story, which is a very important one. The Senate this week barred at least 10 television stations in the country from covering its proceedings at the newly renovated chamber. A sergeant-at-arms operative told journalists at the entrance of the chamber that Senate President Godswill Akpabio instructed the security unit to reduce the number of media houses covering proceedings. Instruction followed the circular signed by the clerk of the Senate, Chinedu Akubueze, and pasted at the entrance of the chamber. Only 7 television stations are now allowed to cover legislative activities of the Senate. And those stations are NTA, Nigeria Television Authority, Channels, AIT, TVC, News, New Age, and ABN. These are the only TV stations at this time allowed to cover Senate hearings. Now, as a journalist, of course, I do not find this funny for a lot of reasons. First of all, ironically, last week we had Press Freedom Day.
Yeah.
Secondly, I don't understand where we get the ideas that we do. Because when we talk democracy, in every part of the world where it functions well, the legislature is open. As a matter of fact, people are even advised to come
into the chambers
to witness it. Yes, you are allowed to go there and sit because this lawmaking is in your interest. In some parts of the world, there are dedicated TV channels that cover just parliament. I know different countries that have any time of day you switch to that channel, they are showing it live. So whatever they are debating, people are always watching. How do we have a situation where we are? Oh my goodness.
Sam, can I say something?
By all means, please.
Yeah. Thesis plus antithesis equals to synthesis. That's exactly what is happening in Nigeria. Now, put it in this perspective. The same National Assembly came up with Freedom of Information Bill. That means you can access information at your beck and call.
Public information
at your beck and call. And one way to do that is through the media. Now, if you are restricting it to these 7, what is the criteria? And what is the reason for doing that? Now, is it that the Senate could not fathom the implication of their actions on the society? Now, these are questions that are begging for answers. Akpabio, as the Senate President, has not in any way told us that these other media houses had actually crossed the line. So restricting it to 7, Nigeria has 6 geographical zones. A day will come, it will be pumped down to 6. Each one will represent a geographical zone. Can't see how Nigeria is going. That's a perspective. I don't think it's in our best interest.
I'm hoping that there's, some better explanation, because
if the explanation comes, it's belated. It's belated. Sam, people are ready to tag along with you when they know the reason for your action. When they can actually feel, the impact, and then they feel they are part and parcel of it. Such action is actually some level of high-handedness on the part of the Senate. Why would such a thing be done in a country like this? In fact, the Senate should be thinking of an innovative way of introducing various aspects that even some local languages should be part of it. Television stations. So restricting it to the 7 means that the 7 are the elites who can pay the bills of the Senate. Example is channels. They tell you that we have 1.3 billion viewers all over the world. How many of them are dedicated to the grassroots? And that is going to be a very big problem at the grassroots, because they cannot actually synchronize with what is happening at the grassroots.
All right. We'll go to our final focus for this episode of the front page, which is the Rivers crisis. I don't want to get in there yet because there's a lot.
Yes.
So many episodes. But I'll take a call or two before we dive deep into that. Good morning.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning. Mr. Sam.
Good morning. What's your name?
Yeah. Okay. You're here. Am I clear?
Yes, you are clear. What's your name?
All right. So good morning once again.
Good morning.
And good morning to your guest.
Good morning.
I would like to talk on 2 things.
All right.
One of the things I'd like to talk about is I think the whole story clearly. That from my understanding about the AP issue, that AP is giving instruction in Igbo.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if that is so, I think it's a wrong comparison when you're comparing that to food. When you say it's food, you said they serve rice, and then they serve
local delicacies.
Fanta, if I don't eat amala, I eat rice. But when you are giving instruction, even if you are giving in English, and then you're giving in Igbo, it doesn't go well with me. Now, this is my opinion. I have to say that.
Yeah.
It's my opinion. Because if the government and everybody says, let's support what is our own in Nigeria, and then you're speaking in Igbo, you're not speaking in Yoruba, you're not speaking in Yoruba, it's already creating a disparity. Okay, this is Igbo's own, this is Igbo's property, why use that word? So, so who is not Igbo might start thinking, oh, okay, maybe I should step back. So if you want to use Igbo, let's give us an understanding why. If you are using the 3 major languages, everyone will understand. You are using Igbo, you are using Hausa, you are using Yoruba. After all, we have BBC Igbo, BBC Hausa, and BBC Yoruba. I think so.
Okay. Now, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
All right. Now,
Okay.
if you fly any of the Arabic airlines, because they are known for the international travels. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yes. When they give instructions in English, they also do that in their language.
Okay.
Now, this is international. I know that other flights, maybe the ones from China and other countries, they find a way to make culture a part of the experience. So would you say, no, this is an international flight. I'm going from London to Lagos, or I'm going from Nigeria to this. I will not have you do this. Would that conversation come up in that instance?
Now, the way you're doing it, Sam, the way you're doing that comparison is wrong.
Okay.
If I have
Tell
to
me.
join maybe that's not Nigerian. If I fly clients and their instructions in their language, all through, I'll not join. But if they do their instruction in their language and in English, English is our own now. So I accept English. But if you pass your instruction in Arab, I'm not coming back again.
Is it not easier to have?
Wait now.
Okay.
Mr. Sam, wait.
Mm-hmm.
That is not our own. This is Nigeria now. We all want to put hands together and build Nigeria. So when you inside Nigeria, you are now saying, making people feel like, oh, this is Igbo own. What are you doing now?
Okay.
That is you don't need my support now.
My guest has.
Why not keep it simple?
All right.
You can bring Igbo, bring Yoruba, bring Hausa.
All right. Hold on. Has a question for you. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, I'm listening.
My guest has a question for you.
I think the whole thing can be simplified in this way. First and foremost, there are two aspects of culture. We have the material and the non-material aspect of culture. The food culture of the people is part of the material culture. And language is part of the non-material aspect of culture. There's really no reason why we should stretch the argument so long. I like to see from the angle of innovation. If Airpeace has actually introduced that by reason of using Igbo language, maybe in future, we can actually graduate into Hausa and Yoruba. They are all part of the Wazobia culture.
Okay,
well.
I can understand what you're saying, but why do we need to start putting that disparity at this early stage? You don't.
Oh my. Well, thank you very much for calling. While I get, I like that his perspective is people feeling left out. So we're all Nigerians, and one way that people, argue this online, which I wasn't very comfortable with, is if he paying you, let Yoruba person go and do his own airline.
No.
That was a defense that some people used against. No, we don't have to get there.
Yeah,
right.
Of course.
We might not have people from every part of the country have an airline.
Of course.
Misrepresentation would definitely happen. But if you look at it from innovation, local language on local flights.
It's creativity.
Yeah, it's to a certain extent. To a certain extent, it works. Hello, good morning. Oh my. Okay, let's quickly do WhatsApp. Logically, I support the idea of reducing the amount of media to 7. I believe it doesn't make sense to allow every Tom, Dick, and Harry with camera gain access, which would in return make the place rowdy and even unsafe for everyone present. Just the way they want to reduce the amount of political parties. Let's go back. I think, while I understand your position, you maybe don't get what a House of Assembly is supposed to be. You and I are supposed to have access to it. Yes, there should be, people on to ensure that it's not rowdy or chaotic. But you as a Nigerian is supposed to have access, whether virtual access or physical access,
exactly,
to a House of Assembly. So while you have your opinion, it doesn't really align with what the standard is. Good morning. Welcome to Nigeria, where everyone except those in office, aka politicians, don't know the solutions to problems. Okay, that break has to happen now. And after that, I'll get my guests' position on the crisis in states. Please stay with us.
Madam, you don't try this new Lush hair foil. You will not lie relaxer kit.